Hey, Tony Gaskins here, popping in for a video. Now y'all know I've been shooting videos while I'm on the treadmill walking. Still working on this here back. Want to talk to you today about something really important, and I get this question a lot. I got another video on this, on dealing with toxic family, and I'm pretty sure I probably say the same thing, but because I do my videos just from my head, I can't ever remember what I said in another video. But I want you to understand, I understand this on a level just like anybody else, because where I come from is, I come from a city that was 5,000 people. So now it's like 15,000. And probably the median income was probably 25,000, and that for the household, and that really was ran up by the successful white people that lived in the city. But if you just took the black families, the median income probably was 20,000, 15 to 20,000, and for a household. So it was poverty to where some people ain't have good food to eat. Some people didn't really have school clothes, and people had struggles that you just really didn't know everything about. And my mom is the baby of 12 kids, and my dad is the baby of 12 kids. So you know, in households like that, it's a lot that goes on, and the parents can't really parent. You know, my dad lost his mom when he was 7 or 8 years old. My mom, I don't know if her dad was in the home. Her dad wasn't in the home. It was stepdad and stuff like that in the home, but with 12 kids and everybody bad, it's just a lot of toxicity. And it's a lot of people raising themselves. And we have this thing in minority families where if you make it out, if you make it, and this could be in some non-minority families, but it's not the norm, it's not the average. But if you make it out as a minority, your family feels like it's your responsibility to help them. And to a certain degree, I can agree, but if everybody pooled their resources, and everybody worked so that you could make it, if you get to a place to where you not only can take care of yourself, but you have a surplus to where you can give supplemental money to other family members, then it makes sense. But a lot of times what family doesn't consider is the burden that it puts on you. Family doesn't consider how much closer they are getting you to an early grave from stressing you. As humans, we can be selfish. A lot of humans are selfish, and they only think about themselves and what they need. And a lot of humans don't think about how you feel and what you need. And you can have family that barely checks in on you, or they only check in on you to prime you for when they're going to ask you for some money. And that's unfortunate. And you may have family that makes you feel like you owe them. And especially parents. A lot of times parents will make you feel like you owe them, when it should be a parent's goal to bring, if you are a parent, you brought your child into the world without that child's permission. So when you as a parent, when we take care of our kids, we are doing what we are supposed to do. We are taking care of a responsibility that we brought into the world. I want to be in a place that I'd rather take my own life than to need something from my child. And call it what you want to call it pride, call it ignorance. But I didn't bring my children in the world to be a burden to them. I brought them in the world because I wanted to get in a bed and fornicate. That's why they're in the world. I brought them in the world because I wanted to see what my seed looked like. I brought them in the world for my ego, for my heart. They're not in the world because they was begging to come in here and they kicked down the door of my underwear and they mama drawers. They here because I brought them here. So it's my responsibility. If I got to work 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, it's my job to take care of my responsibility, to set them up for success. And when they get there, I don't want to ask them for a dime. Because guess what? I'm raising them in a way that they understand gratitude. They understand it. I'm not going to have to guilt trip my children. And I'm talking to your parent. Send this to your parent if you need to. I'm not going to have to guilt trip my children into helping me or doing something for me, because I'm raising them with gratitude. So they're going to treat me how they see me, based on what they can afford to do. When it's my birthday, when it's Father's Day, they're going to treat me how they see me. And that's what toxic family don't understand. Toxic family don't understand that you do for them what you can afford to do for them based on what you feel is fair. So you have to understand that it's not your place to feel obligated for your family that you did not bring into the world, or that was not put on you as a dependent. Now, what you should feel responsible for is the family you brought into the world, the family you committed to for a lifetime, your husband, your wife, your children, or children you inherited, or the elderly, or special needs. Basically, and I could be leaving something out, but you should feel responsible for dependents, meaning people who cannot work and provide a living for themselves, and you are their closest ally. You are their help. That's who you should feel responsible for. So guess what? When your parents get into their 80s or 90s or even 70s, whenever they cannot get up and walk on their own, when they can't bathe, drive, cook, when they can't do for themselves because of their age and their health, that's when you should feel responsible for your parents. But when your mama or your daddy or your siblings or your cousins or your best friends, if they can walk and they can work and they can take care of themselves, they should be fully responsible for themselves. And what we do when we get a little bit of success, we enable them. And when I say we, I'm talking about me too. I'm guilty of it too. We enable them. And we do too much. And we give too much. And what I have learned from this human study is that people do not appreciate what you do for them. Instead, they start to expect it from you more often. And they have a sense of entitlement, and they feel like you owe them. And they feel like that if you are blood, if you blood relatives or you close, however, friends grew up together, a lot of times people feel like they can do and they can say anything to you. And that's the mistake right there. You have to let every person in your life know that you are protecting your peace, that you and your dependents are your first and only responsibility. And after that, everyone else is extra and they baggage. And that if you don't have it for them, or if you're tired of having it for them, then that is not your responsibility. And they gotta know that. And you have to be okay understanding that you going to your grave alone. It's gonna be you that we put in a box and burn you, or we put you 6 feet under. Nobody is going to volunteer to get in that box with you. Everybody will cry. Everybody will want to make it about themselves and give a speech that's longer than 2 minutes, knowing that we have only allotted 2 minutes for everybody to talk. They will want to make it about themselves and make it like they loved you the most and they was there for you the most and they got the best memories of you the most, but they did not have that same energy when you was alive, when they was begging you and bothering you and making you feel guilty about their problems and their issues and what they going through and what they dealing with, but did not care about the stress that was on you, as if you got 24 hours in a day that they don't have, as if God give you more time in a day than he gave them, as if God give you more chance and opportunity than he gave them. They're not understanding that it was decisions that put you in your position. It wasn't just luck. It wasn't luck at all. And I forget this sometimes, and my wife remind me. She said, baby, you can't feel responsible for people who did not make the same decision you made. She said, you fornicated, but you chose to get right with God and get married. Then you chose not to keep making mistakes in your marriage. You chose to get right in your marriage. You chose to treat your wife right. You chose to raise your kids and be a responsible example for your children. She says a lot of decisions that you had to make. You chose to stop doing things that would pull you away from your family. You chose to sacrifice in areas that were painful sacrifices because it goes against what the flesh wants to do. You made choices. You made choices and you reap the reward for the choices you made. Guess what? They made choices, and their choices brought about the consequences, just the way life works. So a lot of times we look at able-bodied people and we forget the choices that they made. And one thing you have to realize is that you cannot be your family's God. Because see, when you think about what helped you grow and what helped you change and what helped you fix your mindset, you realize that most often it was your hardship. It was the things you suffered that helped you grow, that helped you change. But see, we forget that about ourselves. We forget that about ourselves. And I have friends who, not friends, but it may be guys who they chose to overeat consistently. They chose to smoke weed. They chose to get drunk. They chose to beat on a girl. They chose to cheat on a girl. They chose to live the bachelor life and not get married. They chose to be in the streets and keep selling drugs. They chose to have ego and a negative attitude instead of humility and a positive attitude. They chose those things. So when I look at their life and I look at my life, if I see that we in different places, it's because of our choices. Because see, God don't love you more than he loves your family. But people who are not in the position that you in, when you really look within, it's because of the choices they made. If they able-bodied. Now somebody who special needs at birth, we're not talking about circumstance and situation that a person has no control over. So don't get it twisted. Sometimes the devil in the details, in the comments, want to divert the whole message. But what about somebody with autism? Somebody who has no legs? We obviously not talking about those type of situations. We talking about able-bodied adults who have had a lifetime of choices that could be made. And they chose what they chose. And so this is the thing. We don't think about our choices and how it can affect us. So we just live life. And when I say we, I mean the people who make bad choices over and over and then expect somebody to be there to bail them out. Listen, that ain't how it works. That ain't how it works. We got to understand that life is on us. That we got choices to be made. So listen to me. You cannot apologize to your friends and family for standing your ground, for protecting your peace, protecting your assets, and making your family your priority. You can't apologize for that. Can't nobody get mad with you for doing what you need to do for your household because they need to take care of their household. And let me tell you, I done made this mistake more than anybody. And I'm gonna run down some stuff, and I want you to understand something. Now, friends, they don't expect nothing from me. They don't ask me for nothing. But when I came into success, I took care of my daddy. Meaning, I bought him. I got him a car. that was $90,000. I took and got my mama a car that's $50,000, but also got her in a house that's $2,400 a month. And her car is about $900 a month with car and insurance. I spend $3,000 a month on my mama. I spend $2,000 a month on my daddy. My sister, to her household, I give $1,100 a month. I got a first cousin that right now I give $450 a month to. I got a friend that just last week I gave $1,300 to. You see, I ain't just talking to you, I'm talking to me. This is how I can talk on this, because I got experience with it. And let me help you understand something. I bought a friend a car that was 1 year old, cash money, $42,500, for him knowing me and being there for me and going on the road with me to trips, even though I paid him and he got to see stuff he would have never got to see. I still blessed him. I didn't owe him that $42,500. I didn't owe him that. We didn't have a deal for that. I just did it. He don't ask me for nothing. My other homeboy, my barber, which I posted that video, but listen to me. And I told you what I give my sister, but I bought her a Mercedes-Benz. I bought my sister a Mercedes-Benz. I bought my mama a Mercedes-Benz. I bought my dad a Maserati. I gave my barber a box Chevy on 26s, custom paint job, custom interior, and I gave him a Monte Carlo. Gave him 2 cars. I gave my security guard, my homeboy, closest friend, a Yukon XL. That's the extra long, $42,500. Now, and I bought my mother-in-law a Mercedes-Benz. So listen to me now. And then I used my name and my influence to get my father-in-law $10,000 off of his Mercedes-Benz. But he in a position to take care of himself. But I leveraged my name and my relationship with Mercedes-Benz dealership. So listen, you're not hearing from somebody that don't bless their circle. Y'all, a lot of y'all get into that blessed circle scam where you put in $1,400 and you supposed to get blessed out. That's a scam. I'm talking about a real blessing circle, to where when God elevated me, I blessed them. But listen, I ain't have to do that. We ain't had no agreement for that. And them things what I just named off to you, those aren't necessities. And you know what? My mother-in-law, her place, I pay $2,000 a month. My mama place, $2,000 a month. So those bills, and I want you to take and do this math. My mama 58. If I got to spend $2,500 a month, if the Lord gonna call her home, if the Lord call her home at 90, I got 32 years. Now you do the math on a calculator. 32 times 12. That's gonna tell you how many months. And you take that amount of months and times that by 2,500. That's how much money I would have spent on my mama living expenses, not including her nursing care and all of that when it come time for that. And doctor bills on the stuff that we spend trying to save their life. when the Lord getting ready to call them home, we doing surgeries, we doing heart bypasses, we doing all this stuff to just give a person an extra year on earth. And it costs tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you see, that's the stuff that we are asked to do. And that's like a requirement. But then we take and we allow friends and family to put stuff on us that is not required. And we do it out of guilt because we feel unrightfully privileged. We feel like, you know what? I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that. And here, it's nothing wrong with doing everything you can do for your friends, for your family. Let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is, where it's toxic, is when they expect it, when they feel entitled to it, when they demand it, when they ask for it. And I tell my family, listen, and my daddy, he know it because he's a man. And I will see him tell his daughter, my sister, no. For certain stuff she asked him, he say no. So I'm like, if this somebody you brought in the world who is your responsibility and you saying no, then I know he understand that him and my mama and my sister are not my responsibility because I got 2 children and a wife that I'm committed to for life. And see, we do this stuff. And I'm gonna tell you, sometimes friends and family get to the point to where they feel like they can bring any kind of energy to your life. They feel like that because you blood, they could say anything they want to say to you and you have to forgive it. Forgive it and forget it. They feel like they can approach you in any kind of way. Let me help you understand something. Blood relations don't make you family. And blood relations don't give somebody the right to depress you, to stress you, and to drive you to an early grave. Anybody can get cut off. And I tell my family straight up like this. Everything I do, I did it because God allowed it. But don't ask me for nothing that you don't absolutely 100% need. And if you come to me with a need, show me what you did with what you had. And if you squandered that, then don't come asking me to bail you out when God had already provided for you, but you squandered it because you knew I would be there, because you assumed I would be there. And I have to tell my own sister who got 3 kids, listen, none of those kids were forced upon you. You consensually laid down with those men and had those kids. That was your choice. Don't come crying and complaining about being a single mother when you chose bums to sleep with, when you chose thugs to sleep with. That was the choice. These are the consequences. And see, this is the mirror that we got to put in our family face and help them understand. You made choices. Because guess what? When you the one that people come to, that means you are the person who is responsible. And that means you are the person who lives with the choices that you made. So when I made bad choices in my life, I live with the consequences. When I was coming up as a young adult, when I got eviction notice, I had to make a choice. Do I stay and pay, or do I leave and get me another place, before this hit my credit. And guess what? I left. And I got into me another student apartment before that eviction hit my credit. And it was another place that I had with my ex-girlfriend. I co-signed. And she got evicted because she couldn't pay the bills after we broke up. And that hit my credit. That was the choice I made. I had to live with the consequences. I didn't call my mama. I didn't call my daddy. I had to live with the consequences. When I chose to go in the streets and hustling to make money, I could have called my daddy or my mama to take care of me. And you know what? When I wrote my book, they gave me a little something here and there. Hey, here go 200, here go 500. But my family and family members who have come to me for money and loans, ain't nobody try to take their hard-earned money and say, Tony, I want to invest in you. I want to invest in your book. I want to invest in your speaking tour. But guess what? When I made it off of my work, then they came, hey, cuz, can I hold this? Can I hold that? And it's like, no, you made choices. And your choices got you where you at. I remember one time my cousin called me and asked me for $6,000 to go gamble. I say, what in the world do I look like? Literally said, cuz, I'm at the casino and want to know, can I borrow $6,000? I'm like, wow, that's where I come from. That's where I come from. I got family in prison who ask for money like they got rent to pay in the real world. Literally have no problem raising $1,000. Like, who need that kind of money in prison? You absolutely don't need that kind of money unless you gambling, you paying off debt from borrowing, or you paying for some funny business, you paying for that cell phone, or you paying for this and that. You doing illegal activity. You in prison. Work your job, get the 5 cents an hour or whatever they pay you. What that can afford to buy from commissary, buy that. Because guess what? You made decisions to get there. But see, as adults, we don't want to accept responsibility for our lives. We want somebody else to be responsible for our lives. And then so many adults want to take their pain out on you. So you have to recognize when your friends or your family is taking their pain out on you. You got to recognize that. And you got to say, hold on. And I'm going to tell you what I tell my friends and family. I say to them, listen, if you want to be in my life, you have to learn what to say and what not to say to me. You have to learn what to ask for and what not to ask for. What to do and what not to do. I got a homeboy I was talking to. He said, bruh, I helped people one time. And after that, they got to get it on their own. And I say, you know what? I admire that strength, and you're not wrong for that. You're not wrong for it. It's not wrong for it. Because yes, we need help, and yes, we could help each other, but you know who the people hollering about? Oh, everybody need to help everybody. It's the people who is asking for the help instead of going out and doing what you got to do. If I'm a single mama, If I got to take care of my kids and I can't get a job at McDonald's or Walmart, which is always hiring, oh, they won't hire me. You's a lie. McDonald's will take you in a heartbeat. Walmart will take you in a heartbeat. But it's your pride won't let you go in there and flip them burgers. So if you got too much pride, guess what? They got a pole for you. Get on the pole. And if you got too much pride for that, you got too much pride for Walmart, you got too much pride for McDonald's, and you got too much pride for a pole, you're going to starve. Point blank period. As adults and as grown men who want to chase a fantasy and not reality, and don't want to work, don't want to sacrifice, don't want to be faithful to their woman, don't want to provide for their kids, and expect somebody to help them. Expect somebody, and here's the thing, it's like at least try to fake like you want to be somebody's friend if you finna ask for some money. But if your friends and family, your family coming to you, and when I say, I'm gonna just say family, but I'm talking about friends too, because a friend could be closer to you than family. If they just want to come to you and always got their hand out, always want something from you, that's when you got to realize that's all they see you for. They ain't really checking on you. How you doing? I remember talking to somebody, he said, man, I had to sit my family down and tell them, like, listen, y'all killing me. Because all y'all doing is begging, 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 begging. Ain't nobody even coming to me and saying, hey, how are you doing? And then what I realized is when you mess around and get a good job or making some money, people will come talk to you every day just to soften you up so that they could come hit you with a sob story. Come hit you with for some money they need. And you know what? Today, after this video, I'm cutting off toxic handouts with you. Are you cutting it off too? I'm cutting it off with you. You know what? I'm finna let people sit in their mess. Because I realized when God let me sit in my mess, that's what made me and took me to my best. When God let me sit in my mess. You have to sit in your mess before you get blessed. And a lot of people don't understand that, don't want to hear that, don't want to believe that. But that is the truth of the matter. You got to sit in your mess. And see, here's the thing. My grandma ain't have no legs. One of it was a freak accident. The other one was due to her choices in life. But she wheeled herself around. Then she got a motorized one. And she'll ask now. She ain't mind asking. And her motto was all they could say is no. But then she'll turn around and tell her grandkids or somebody, give me what got you here. Give me what got you here. Meaning, give me. Give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. She's saying, give me is what got you here. Basically saying, you is a beggar. And that's why you got what you got, for begging people. Now, she ain't ask a whole lot now, but she gave. If she did ask somebody for something, when she get her little check, she gonna pay them back. And she cooked for the neighborhood. Every morning she got up and cooked breakfast, grits and sausage. Anybody in the neighborhood could come get some grits and sausage. When she cooked dinner, anybody could come get a plate. So she gave and she reciprocated. Anybody could drop their kids off for the whole day and they could stay. And although she smoked like a chimney, I believe God let her see the beautiful age of 82 because of her heart. And I learned that. But she also wasn't afraid to say no. She also wasn't afraid to tell somebody how they feel. I mean, how she feel. tell them about their life if they tried her. She wasn't afraid to whoop us, chastise us. She wasn't afraid to tell on us, get us in trouble, get us a whooping. You see, so you got to look at your family lineage and you got to look at their story. She probably had 4 baby daddies. She had 12 kids. I know she had at least 3 baby daddies, which is understandable. Because a woman could have a different father for every child she have if she believe gotta sleep with this man to please him, to keep him happy. So that also means what comes with unprotected sex is a child. So if a woman is in a relationship for a year and she don't believe in waiting until marriage and she sleep with that man in month 1, month 3, month 6, she get pregnant. If he leave her, now when she get in another relationship and she sleep with that man and she get pregnant and he leave her, now she get in another relationship. You see what I mean? That's how easy it is for women to have multiple baby daddies. So I don't even judge a woman for that, because you're doing what you do in a relationship, which is sleep with someone unprotected to make them feel like, to show your love and trust and commitment. But what comes with that is a baby. And what comes with that is a mouth that you have to feed. So what comes with that, what needs to come with that, is responsibility and sacrifice. And the same goes for a man. And this is what my wife helped me understand. She said to me, before you help a man, ask yourself, does he take care of his wife and his kids? Is he there for his wife and his kids? Ask yourself that. Is he a good father? Because if he's not, you sowing seed on bad ground. The same thing with women. Before you help them, how good of a mother is this woman? Is she being a responsible person for her children? Is she making good choices? Or does she always got a different man around them and then come crying broke, need some money? And do you know, if a person got to come to you, that means, and you not their mama or their daddy, that means they done burnt they other resources when they coming to you. And I'm telling you, I done been the biggest fool. I don't care what you done did for friends and family. You ain't done more than me. You ain't done more than me. Not at the level that we at. And I'm gonna share this with you because I want you to understand how important this is for me, but just in helping people. This year alone, my household has blessed and helped. And it's a point to where your blessing can become a burden if you don't keep it in bounds. So this is the thing that you got to ask yourself. When your friend and your family come to you and say, hey, can I borrow this? Or can you keep my kids? Or they coming to you with their negative energy. Oh, you dress cute, but girl, you got to work on that pouch. Don't take offense to this, but I know you want to meet your husband, but he's not going to want you with that kangaroo pouch. Girl, you know I love you now. People will come to you and say something that will crush you, that will hurt you, and say it in the name of love. You know I love you, so I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. I had to tell a family member, I say, listen, if I don't ask you for your opinion, don't come offering your opinion, because I'm this and I'm that and I'm this and I'm that, so I know what I need to do and what I can and can't do. And I'm not telling you about yourself without you asking me. Because it's a whole lot I could tell you about yourself, about how I feel. But I ain't doing that because it's not appropriate. Family will come to you and tell you, you looking old, you looking overweight, you looking too skinny, you looking like you showing off, you looking like you broke, you looking like you ain't had no love in your life. Family will say anything in the name of love. And guess what family got to know? That they could get cut off in the name of self-love. That they could get cut off, that they could get removed, that they could be disowned in the name of self-love. Because blood relation don't give anybody the right to stress you, to worry you, to hurt your feelings, to break you down, or to drive you to an early grave. I do not care if it's your mama. I do not care if it's your daddy, if it's your grandmama, your auntie, your uncle, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your friend. Anybody can get cut off if they don't want to deal with their own problems, get the dust out their eye, the log out their eye, before they trying to come get the speck of dust out your eye. People will overlook their problems and come tell you what you need to be doing. People will try to make you feel guilty about what you not doing for them, like you owe them something. Now, if you owe them, pay them, because the borrower becomes servant to the lender. That's the word of the Lord. But if you don't owe them, let them know, I don't owe you anything, because you brought me into the world. So anything I do for you is a plus when you talking to your mom and daddy. And this is the thing. Talk to your mom and daddy right now if they are before the age of needing nursing care, and tell them and ask them, what are you doing to prepare for your future? How much money are you saving out of your paycheck? How much money you gonna let remain in your 401k or that retirement account, so that when you old and you can't do for yourself, you can afford a home health nurse? Don't just depend on your child to have the money for your home health nurse. And see, this is the thing that's so unfair. It's so unfair in minority families most often, and this could be in other families too, but most often in minority families, people want to raise their kids as their retirement plan and expect their kid to be forever indebted to them. When as parents, we should be focused on being a blessing, not being a burden. On letting our children stand on our shoulders instead of raising our kids so that we could stand on their shoulders. That's the wrong mentality. When I talk to these white people, they'll be like, my mom doesn't ask me for anything. My dad doesn't ask me for anything. When I made money and I got money, they tell me, don't even get me a Christmas gift. You better not. What in the world? You better not spend that money on me. Are you kidding me? Take this back to the store. And that's how they be saying. And then I talk to some minorities, and they be like, man, my family don't ask me for nothing. It depends on your upbringing and where you come from, and what your family come through. Now, if somebody rode over to America on a raft, or they came in a luggage with a hole in it so they could breathe, and they was cargo on a ship, and they came over to get a better life, and then you go and you make it, and they need you, that's a different kind of situation. That's a different setup, because they sacrificed their life to give you a better life. Now, if they sacrificed their life to give themselves a better life, and you just kind of happen to pop out like they had you later, oops, then that got to be understood too. But at the end of the day, you can't feel responsible for able-bodied adults. And every single person, I'm gonna tell you, I cut people off. I cut people off. You gonna talk to me with respect. I don't care who you is. You gonna talk to me with respect. And you're not gonna come to me with a sense of entitlement like I owe you something. Because I don't owe you nothing. And I got stuff to do because I done sacrifice, done sweat, done toil, and done work my butt off to get where I am. And if I ain't seen you sweating, if I ain't seen you sacrificing, if I ain't seen you doing everything I feel you should have been doing, I don't owe you nothing, don't expect nothing from me. Anything I give you, and you know what? I don't even give loans. People come asking me, hey, can I borrow this? I say, listen, I'm gonna give this to you, but this ain't a loan. I don't do loans because I'm not a bill collector, and I'm not gonna make you my servant. This a blessing. Hope it help you. Get on your feet. God bless you. I don't say all that, but I let them know this ain't no loan. This a blessing here. And then people will keep coming and coming and coming. And let me tell you, you know it done got bad when people will come to you if you not their blood relative. You know they done burnt every bridge, or they operating with ego. Because why is somebody coming to you as a friend if they got an able-bodied, sane mama or daddy, brother, sister, cousin? Why they coming to a friend? Either because they done burnt all of them and used them to their fullest, or because they operating from ego and they want to make their family think they got it under control, and so they come and abuse their friends' pockets to save face with their family who hoping they fail. Listen, they got to take that up with God. You got to work that out. Work that ego out. Work that pride out. And work that out with your family. Because if they can't go to their family, and you know their family, and you know their family love them, it's different if they were raised alone in a group home and all their family dead and gone, or they don't know anybody. That's different. Remember, we're not talking about the obvious. We're talking about able-bodied adults who can do for themselves, but coming with a sense of entitlement. And listen, sometimes people will come, oh, I need to live. I need a break. I need a vacation. I need this. I need that. Listen, that ain't my problem. That is not my problem. You asking for a luxury. The goal of life is not happiness. The goal of life is to be useful. The goal of life is to live purpose. The goal of life is to be intentional. The goal of life is not your peace and happiness and comfort. The goal of life is to make sure that the world knows you was here and that you push the world forward with your existence. That's the goal of life. And that may be tiresome, that may be painful, and that may be hard, but that is the goal of life. That's the goal of life. People, I got extra skin under my eyes because I got big eyes. So when you got big eyes, you got extra skin above and under your eye because it's preparing to hold a bigger eye. The bag got to be bigger. So a lot of times it look like I got bags under my eyes. If you look at my youngest son, you'll notice he got bags under his eyes. So that'll make people tell me, oh, you need to sleep more. I could sleep 10 hours a day because I earn money in my sleep. It don't matter how much I sleep, I'm still gonna have bags under my eyes because I had them all my life. This is genetics. This is how I'm made up. And the more weight I put on, the more meat I'm gonna have under my eye. So guess what? I ain't tired. And a lot of times people, oh, Tony, you need to rest, you need to do this. Life ain't about my comfort. My Savior died at 33. I'm 37. And the way he was crucified was beat to death. They didn't have a gun to just blow his brains out. They tortured him to death. So don't talk to me about sleep. Don't talk to me about peace. Don't talk to me about prosperity. Don't talk to me about comfort if I'm not defining that for myself. Because if I do 10 videos a day, I'm serving God. That's my purpose. And guess what? That's also my peace. That's also my prosperity. That's also my comfort, even though it may make you tired. Because I'm here to be purposeful. I'm here to be intentional. A young man asked me, I was talking to a college sports team. He said, are you happy? I say, happy? I laughed at him. I say, I'm intentional. I'm purposeful. I say, I'm getting ready to take my wife to the Maldives and look at that scenery. If that's what you call happy, then yes, I'm happy. But that ain't how I define life. I define life by my intentionality, by my purpose-driven attitude. And that's what your family got to understand. That you here to leave a mark on the world, and it's work that got to be done, and they got work they need to be doing. And if they not going to do no work, then tell them, get out my way so I can work. Stay out my way. Put your hand up and put your hand to some work. Do some work, because it's work to be done. And let them know, get out the way. Shut up. Be quiet. Hush. Get behind me. Whatever you got to say, so that they understand. Stop being a burden and start looking to be a blessing. And stop being a burden. And people will run their mouth. They'll run their mouth. Oh, I don't mind you doing less for me. And you ain't got to do this and do that for me. And then when you give them what they said, they won't. Oh, you ain't doing enough for me. And you supposed to be doing this. And then they'll flip it on you. I done seen people and how people act. I done seen people press their friends because they grew up next to each other. And it's like, I didn't ask my mom and daddy to move here. Okay, I'm from 63rd. You from 64th. Why we shooting at each other? When our mom and daddy just moved here on their own. You from the O block. I'm from the T block. Why is we shooting at each other? We is ignorant. A lot of times we just so ignorant and lost. And we don't have nobody with a platform that could speak to the masses. The people they give platforms, 9 out of 10 of them be idiots because they don't want people to be enlightened. They don't want the homicide rate in Chicago to go down, in Atlanta to go down, in Memphis to go down, St. Louis to go down, LA to go. They don't want it to go down because it's a pipeline to prison where billions of dollars are being made from slave wages, working black men and Hispanic men like slaves to produce billions of dollars worth of work. They don't want the crime to stop because we fueling an industry. So they want us to be ignorant. They want us to be dependent. And this what happened. Somebody come up like a rose out of concrete and make something of themselves. and everybody want to take credit for their success when nobody was up with them in the middle of the night working, stressing, slaving. But everybody want to say, oh, I did this for you. I did that for you. I did this for you. When really ain't nobody do nothing but your mom and daddy who laid down in that bed or the back seat of that car and conceive you. And after that, it come to a point that even though they might have clothed you and feed you, you still had to make choices for yourself. Because you could have took your own life. You could have gave up on yourself. You could have quit it all. You could have sat down. You could have did nothing. But you have to make a choice every second of the day. And then people will come and will jump on the one person back who made it out. And they will drown that person so that they could get some air. One person trying to keep their head above water. And they don't even know how to swim because they couldn't afford swimming lessons or a swimming pool. So now they've been thrust into the ocean with the sharks. And all of their friends and family come climb on their back and say, hey, you got out here and you've been treading water and you hanging above the water. So let me get on your back and let me push you down and drown you so I can live. Because you need to feel sorry for me because I lost a leg in Afghanistan. When ain't nobody tell you to sign up to go get your leg blowed off for a country that don't care nothing for you. Oh, you need to feel sorry for me because I got 3 kids from 3 different men and it's hard being a single mother. So you need to help me out when you didn't tell them to go get in those relationships and ignore every red flag and every sign and to sleep with those men. And it's other women who have made the same choices, but they taking care of themselves. If they got to work 60 hours a week as a traveling nurse, that's what they doing. If they got to get on the phone and be a sex line worker, that's what they doing. If they got to strip on a pole, that's what they doing. But it's some people who want to make choices and make decisions in their life and then come dump it all on you and say, take care of me. Take care of me. Do for me. Give me peace. Give me luxury. Give me a life. Help me do something because you made it out. Because you made choices. Because you made sacrifices. Now let all your sacrifices pay for my bad choices. Pay for my complacency. Pay for my laziness. Listen, it's time that you take that straw off your back before it break the camel's back. And it's time that you let people sit in a mess so that they can hear from God and get blessed. And listen to me. They might tell you they're going to be mad at you and they working to be successful so that they can rub it in your face. If they want to have that twisted motivation because they mad that you won't enable them, it's one thing to help somebody, but it comes a time to where your help will be a hindrance. And that's what you got to understand. You got to know the difference between being a help and being a hindrance. And you know how I know? I learned the hard way because I became a hindrance for people. And see, this is the thing. If somebody been eating sardines and you bring them a Chilean sea bass, if they don't have the work ethic to go earn the money or to go catch their own Chilean sea bass, they gonna keep coming to you for another taste of that Chilean sea bass. But when them sardines would have pushed them to glory, them sardines would have fed them and got them to where they need to be to take care of themselves. And people will sit down and they will rot to death waiting on you to take care of them. There are people in the world who will rather die than to go work a job that's going to embarrass them because they got a doctorate degree or a master's degree or a bachelor degree and don't want to start at the bottom. They want to be teleported to the top because they got a degree from Kellogg's University, Tony the Tiger Be Great University. and think that's finna get them 6 figures. No, you got to go work in customer service, answering that telephone, and you got to shake hands and smile, and you're gonna have to climb the ladder and then be put in position. My partner, who is a billionaire, sent me an article of a black man that got promoted in his family company. And this man been working for them people since 1984 or 1989. He had to sweat, he had to serve, he had to toil, and now he's second in command, like Joseph was. People don't understand, it take work. It take work. I'm trying to tell you, and see, it's biblical. And that's what God tried to show us. When Joseph seen the dream, Joseph was 17 years old. And his brothers hated on him. They say, who are you, the baby, to have a dream talking about you gonna be ruling over us? And they hated his vision. They hated his dream. And so what they did is they threw him in a den and tried to dispose of him. They tried to sell him. They sold him and then tried to dispose of him. And then went and told their daddy, your son got killed. But then somebody came along and they done bought him up and turned him into a slave. This man went from having a dream to being a slave. And then when he was slaving, working for them people, working for that man, the man's wife say, whoa, you look good. Oh my goodness, the anointing on you. And she wanted to hop on that piece of pole on Joseph because them abs on him, them jawbones on him, them shoulders on him. What in the world? Man, come give me a piece of that. Because her husband probably was impotent, or he probably was too caught up working. And she said, I want some of this young stallion. And Joseph had to break free and get loose. And she tried to lie and say, that man came on to me and tried to rape me. They threw Joseph in prison. Joseph sitting in prison, sitting down there in the dungeon, in the dark. Other men come in there, they having dreams. In the bottom, at the bottom, God gave Joseph a gift. And he told him, your gift gonna make room for you and bring you before great men. So when them men had a vision, had a dream, they come to Joseph. Joseph say, this what your dream mean. This what your dream mean. They say, oh my goodness. They got out. They didn't have a life sentence like Joseph. They got out and they went back, and guess what? They spoke his name to the king. Hey, it was a man that told us something. Now I think one of the men got killed, but the other one, he went and told the king. When the king had a dream, and he calling the sorcerers. He calling the people who work for the devil, the witch doctors. He calling them. See, there's people like that today who working for the devil, and they seem to have the same gift. But see, the fruit looks similar, but the root is totally different. And so that's what you got to understand about your root. That your root, you rooted and grounded in something totally different. It's going to be people who look like they successful as you. It's going to be people who look like they could do what you do. They may look like they got the fruit, but they ain't got the root. And that's what you got to understand. I'm rooted different. And so now, when they called Joseph, what them other sorcerers and people couldn't do for the king, Joseph was able to tell the king, hey, or Pharaoh, whoever he was, hey, this what your dream mean. That man say, my goodness, who are you? He say, I'm Joseph. I come from over here. They had me down there in prison. He didn't even speak bad on the woman, lying on her. See, when God get ready to raise you up, people gonna be lying on you. People gonna have a lot of tale about you. But guess what? The mouth of the lion still gonna be shut up. And God gonna say, you can't stop what I done put a start to. You can't block the blessing that I'm sending. I made a promise to you, and God is not a man that he should lie. So if the promise comes from God, it's going to come to fruition. And that's what you got to believe. And let me tell you something. From the time God started me to the time when I made $1 million in a year, 13 years. 13 years. See, the people don't believe in the Bible, don't believe it's real. But see, it's a remnant, it's a certain people that's willing to do a work, that's willing to sacrifice, that's willing to tell their family, listen, you got to shut up and sit down and get out the way, because a work got to be done. And if you ain't willing to get what God got for you, don't get in the way of what God got for me. Get out the way. Get thee behind me, Satan. Like Jesus told Peter, whoever that was, when he tried to tell Jesus to go against his purpose. Jesus said, Satan. He wasn't talking to Peter. He was talking to Satan within him. He said, Satan, get thee behind me. Because you trying to block the work that God done called me to do, that my Father in heaven done called me to do. Listen, if God done enlisted you to create generational wealth for your kids, then what does that mean? That means that you don't have the time to be giving all your money to grown folks who able-bodied and could be doing for themselves, but don't want to do for themselves. People want to spend how they want to spend and do what they want to do, but then want to come to you for luxury and leisure. Absolutely not. You got to earn your own leisure. Don't come to me for your leisure. Don't come to me for your relief. Go to Jesus because he got everlasting arms. My arm's short. I can't do everything for you. You better go to God. That's who I had to go to. I had to go to God. And when my choices made me sit in my consequences set me up for my next level. Because in that mud, instead of becoming a pig and wallowing in that mud and letting wisdom cast their pearls onto me and keep wallowing in it, casting pearls to swine. Swine don't know how to appreciate pearls because they just gonna roll in the mud. They not finna get clean and dressed up and go be and do better. They finna end up on a dinner plate no matter what, because that's what they destined for. But when you know you destined to be different, when you know you not a turkey being led to the slaughter, but you an eagle, which is illegal to be touched. You ain't never seen an eagle on a dinner plate. Eagles, you ain't never seen an eagle in a flock. An eagle willing to go alone and is willing to go to heights that no other bird is willing or can able to go to. And you called to be an eagle, and you got to be willing to be an eagle. Go on iTunes and search Tony Gaskins, Eagles and Turkeys, and you're gonna hear my spoken word where I'm talking to you about the difference of an eagle and a turkey. So if you got friends and family that want to be turkeys, let them know you walking to the slaughterhouse, but you got the choice to be an eagle, but you're gonna have to be willing to soar alone. You're gonna have to be willing to go to heights that's unknown. You're gonna have to be willing to break your own beak, to break your own talents, to pluck your own feathers, to be renewed, to be made over, to be made whole, to extend your destiny. You're gonna have to be different. You're gonna have to be willing to be different and to do different. Because it ain't gonna work out for you the way you want it to work out if you're gonna keep being complacent, if you're gonna keep being comfortable, if you're gonna keep making the same decisions that you've been making. Listen, we different all the way down to the music we listen to, all the way down to the TV shows we watch. We different. We different to what we do with our free time. We different. So you can't expect the same results if you're not gonna put in the same work, the equivalent. It ain't got to look the same. It ain't got to be the same. And I'm gonna tell you what a fool gonna do. A fool gonna argue with wisdom. A fool gonna argue with the truth. A fool gonna look for a hole of where they could argue so that they could keep being comfortable, keep being complacent, keep being the same. They gonna find something in this message that don't have nothing to do with the entirety of the message, just to have something to argue about because their toes got stepped on. And that's why they gonna stay miserable, broke, busted, and disgusted and unhappy with their life because they don't want to hear about change. They don't want to hear about sacrifice. They don't want to hear about the next level. They don't want to hear about personal responsibility. But listen, it's on you. It's on you to make sure that everybody who come in contact with you experience something different, that they see something different, that they feel something different, that they hear something different, that they learn something different, so that when they leave your presence and when God calls you home, they'll be spreading your name and saying, this man or woman was different. It was something different about this man or woman. They were not the same. They were a peculiar person. They walk different. They talk different. They act different. But guess what? They didn't look down on you. They didn't make you feel less than. They challenge you to be better. See, that's where you got to go to. And guess what? It hurt and it's hard. But one thing I realized, that if we don't learn how to become an adult as an adult, then we will live and die a child. And it's children with more wisdom. I borrow cash from my son piggy bank because I got to be somewhere fast and he got a piggy bank with some cash in it. My son, here you go. Here go these 5 talents. Bring me back 10, Daddy. He already know the borrower becomes servant to the lender. And if he gonna be a bank, he got to put interest on his money. Already, that's the way of the world. That is life. That's business. Everybody got to get fed. Everybody got to eat. But you're going to have to get it on your own. Because if you don't work, you won't eat. And I'm going to tell you one thing. You better be willing to go and to do what you got to do. I took, and my pride was holding me back. So I was selling drugs because that made me look cool. And guess what? I met a woman who said, not with me, you're not going to sell drugs. So I went to work in a group home, making $8.50 an hour. Got training, got $9.50 an hour. Went on Oprah Winfrey while I was making $9.50 an hour. Went on Tyra Banks while I was making $9.50 an hour. You hear me? How do you think I felt to go on Oprah, the #1 show in the world, tell my story, expose myself, and the next day go to work for $9.50 an hour? But guess what? I could not care about what people thought of me because I had a mission and a purpose that had to be fulfilled. And God say, you're going to have to go through to get to. You're going to have to get sold. You're going to have to get imprisoned. You're going to have to get lied on. You're going to have to be okay with people being jealous of you, people plotting on you, people lying on you. You got to be okay with it because I'm taking you somewhere and I'm going to do something with you. But I got to make sure that you have been made humble before you have been exalted. So you got to be okay with it. But understand this. God did not humble you and make you sacrifice and make you work and make you toil so that you could be exalted and then you could airlift your friends and family. No, they got to climb the way you climb. They got to work the way you work. It's not your job to make life so easy on people so that they don't have to develop the same muscle that you had to develop. Guess what? You see this here? You see that muscle? You see that cut in that arm? You see that muscle? Guess what? I had to lift for that. I had to toil for that. I had to break down some muscles in there to get that. You see what I'm doing right now? 1 hour and 20 minutes. 4 miles of walking. I'm drenched in sweat. You can't see it because my lighting bad and my shirt black. But I had to walk. So when you see this here new body, you're going to understand it was work put in. I ain't lay in my bed. I ain't sit at the dinner table eating Oreos talking about I sure wish I could lose some weight. I sure wish I could lose some weight. I had to work. So when you see the results, understand that the work don't lie. The work don't lie. So if God done exalted you, instead of you becoming God and feeling like it's your duty to carry your whole family who is able-bodied and grown, or your friends who able-bodied and grown, understand that you need to teach them how to fish. And if they don't want to fish, let them feel an empty stomach. And when that stomach go to talking and touching that backbone, they gonna go down to that lake and they gonna get in there and learn how to fish so that they can eat. Or they gonna starve to death. And they gonna go the way they wanna go because their pride came before their demise. And that's what you got to be okay with. Because when you in battle, physical or spiritual, there will be casualties. There will be people lost. And you got to be okay with losing some people on the journey, spiritually, emotionally, or physically. You got to be okay with losing family, with losing friends, so that you can carry out what you've been put here to do. Because most people won't understand what you've been put here to do until you're gone. That's why everybody who leave a legacy on earth make more money when they dead. Because it's then when people give you your roses. You won't get a bouquet of flowers your entire life. And then when you die, the church ain't got enough room for them. When did your birthday, when you was breathing, look like a funeral home? But see, we don't give people flowers when they living. We wait till they gone. So this is what's happening. See, God take and prepare somebody, and he give you the gifts and the strength and the tools that you need to be successful. But see, the devil always in the details. And so when the devil get in the details, he come in, and where God planted a seed, where God sowed a seed, the devil plant a weed. So that as your gift begins to sprout, the weeds start to choke it out. And the weed is choking it out so that you will lose life. So what happens is, let me paint this picture for you in real life. You sweat, you toil, and you sacrifice, and then you succeed. And when you succeed, the people who watch you sweat and toil and sacrifice, they show up out of nowhere and they want to claim your success. I helped you make it. You the reason. You remember I gave you a piece of candy when your tongue was sore, when you were 5 years old? You remember that time that you needed some water when you was 9? I knew that day that when I gave you that water, that was sowing a seed in your life. And see the harvest, oh my goodness. Now you own the whole water company. Oh my, ooh. But you ain't got to give me nothing but 1%. They will show up. And then guess what? We feel obligated. We feel like it is our duty to take care of grown folks. Look at what these rappers do. Look at what these athletes do. You know why? It's because we come from nothing. We come from poverty. And then when we make it, instead of teaching the tools, instead of sitting down and saying, listen, I was in the studio 18 out of 24 hours, more times than I could count. What were you doing? I was in the gym 6 hours straight putting up shots. What were you doing? I was on the field 6 hours straight running routes. What were you doing? I sacrificed homecoming. I sacrificed prom to go to a meet, to go to a match. I sacrificed. What were you doing? I stopped going to the club at 21 or 22 years old. I got married at 23. I had to change my life completely by the age of 25. I've never smoked weed. I've never been drunk. I've never done half of the things that my peers have done. But the things I did do, I had to repent and I had to change. So the sacrifice I made produced something different. So when you come to my suite at the Super Bowl Champions Arena, and you count that money, when you sit in a vehicle of mine, when you sit courtside with me, and I'm tripping referees, understand that success comes after sacrifice, even in the dictionary. Our sacrifice look different, so our success gonna look different. But if you're willing to sacrifice, even if you start now at 40 years old, 45 years old, 50 years old, your future will not look like your present, but you got to be willing to sacrifice. So here's what happened. Somebody sacrifices and they work and they toil, and the people around them destroy them. Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Amy Winehouse. When you think about iconic people who have lived and died an untimely death because of the people and the things around them, to where the weight on their shoulders became so great because their greatness did not fit in with mediocrity. So the pressure that was put on them by everybody in their entourage who want a new car, who want a new house, who want to do drugs. You can't do drugs and be great. You could be good, but you will never reach your fullest potential if your body requires a drug. You will never reach your fullest potential. You could make millions. Your name could be known, but it don't matter how big you get if you never reach your fullest potential. And that's what we got to understand. And see, mediocre people will look and say, well, this person does this and he's a billionaire. That's why he committed suicide. That's why he's going through divorce with billions of dollars, because he would not sacrifice in the areas he needed to sacrifice. And guess what? When you don't sacrifice, you have to pay a price. You have to pay a price. So you can pay the price of sacrifice, or you can pay the price of loss, of failure, of pain, the pain of discipline, or the pain of regret. That's the choice you get to make. And once you make that choice, you got to make sure that everybody around you are forced to make that choice. You got to let them know there's 2 seats in this Lamborghini. So guess what? If you can't fit, you got to buy your own, because the other seat got to go to my wife. So that means if you want to ride with me, you got to get Lamborghini money. Understand that. I'm not finna drive a school bus. My car got 4 seats. Me and my wife and my 2 kids. And if I have more kids, I'm gonna get a minivan, but I still can't carry another man's family. You got to learn how to sacrifice. You got to learn how to put in the work. You got to learn how to crucify your ego and surrender to the will of God. And if you're unwilling to do that, then you're going to have to be willing to watch me win. You're going to have to be willing to watch me win and keep a straight face while you're doing it. But if you're willing to put in the work, I guarantee you, God don't love me more than he loved you. I guarantee you, although our blessings may not look the exact same, you're going to be content with yours if you're willing to get aligned, if you're willing to do the work. Because you can have faith, but faith without works is dead. Study the ant, because the folding of your arms and that slumbering will lead to poverty. Be willing to do the work. God bless you. Spirit just left the room. We'll talk soon.